Moment of truth. And then if I walk away. Let's try this again. Try this again. Okay. And then if I walk out here, make sure. Sweet. We're chilling. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of an intro for people watching this as a video. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This will be my first in what I am hoping to be a long series of Sunday streams. So every Sunday at about 2, I'll be streaming. This isn't going to replace my videos, but it may have the effect of slowing them down, possibly. Just because, I don't know, I wanted to branch out a little bit and see, what, if this is successful. It's an option available to me, so I thought I'd explore it at the very least. But today I'm going to be doing some projects that I just need to finish up. So I got to make a railroad spike knife for Etsy, and then I have to make a couple towel rings. And after that, I'll probably be making some product for a fair that I'll be trying to attend. So with that, I'll get into it. right. Cool. There we go. Come on. All right, steel should be hot by now. There we go. Piece of coal stuck on there. So for this particular blade, the guy actually messaged me. He wants a traditional Tonto, which I've never made, so we'll see how that goes. Looks like I may need to cut off a bit of the tip just to make that curve a little nicer. But we'll see. What a lot of people don't realize about making knives is forging the actual shape doesn't take very long at all. It's the grinding that takes a long time, which is why I've started to enjoy making knives a little less than I used to, just because I've been doing more in terms of the fine-tuning, the finishing, the things that make the knife really look nice. And you know, it is what it is. I've really started to enjoy making tools, things of that nature. So I'll probably be making more of that kind of thing in the future. Okay. So here I'm just refining the shape a little bit. We want a bit of a shorter taper on the end of the blade for a traditional Tonto. I think that's about the shape we're looking for. Something about like that. And obviously that's going to get distorted in beveling, but we can fix that when we need to. And he didn't say anything in particular for the handle. When he ordered the actual listing, he just ordered it with the regular twist, so I'm just going to do a regular twist on it. That's what he said he wanted. So I'll get to that after beveling, as that is the order that I generally do these things in. Unless it's a pineapple twist. If it's a big twist like that, I like to get it out of the way early. Just because then it's, after you make the blade, it's kind of hard to get into the spots with the chisel when you have to flip it over because of the handle and the blade will be in the way. It's just a lot easier to do it this way. But in this instance, it's just a twist, a regular twist. So I don't have to worry about it that much. Getting there. Getting about time to open the garage door. It's getting warm in here. Okay. There we go. Get some more natural light in here as well. And hope that I didn't burn this. Great. Okay. And then I'm just going to straighten the blade out. And that'll be sufficient for what I have going on as far as the forging of the blade. Okay. And that really kind of screws up the bevel, so you got to go back once you're done and clean it up quite a bit. Okay, so that's that for the blade. I'm going to flatten this spike head so I can actually grip onto it with my twisting wrench. And I'll give it a twist. And that'll be that for the forging of the railroad spike knife. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to twist it in my little twisting vise on the side of my forge, which will probably only take one heat. No reason it should take more than that. But then again, who knows? My twisting wrench out. Here we go. Not quite hot enough yet. Let's flip it around like so. And from here, I should be good to go. And for these twists, I just do a full twist, 360 degrees. And gives a nice clean look, but isn't excessive. And a lot of times during twisting, it will actually bend a little bit, the handle will, so you got to come back and straighten it out. And if I had a wooden mallet, I would use that, because that would preserve the twist better, but I don't. So I just use a hammer and kind of do it lightly at high heat. So I'll heat it back up for that step. Should be good enough. Yeah. There we go. And then for the final step, I like to give the handle a little curve to it. So I just bring it over here, hit in the middle, kind of like that. Make sure one last time everything is straight. Looks like it is. There we go. See if I can get it to focus. There we go. So, tips pretty much the shape I want. And then the handle might be a little hard to see the twist, but it looks pretty nice from where I'm standing. Now I need to work on a couple of things. I'm going to make a couple of those ring towel holders here, if I can find some 3/8 square. Now, last time I checked, I was almost out. So this could be a bit of an adventure. That's not enough. Looks like we may be using 1/2-inch square for this, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh well. So these are very simple to make. They just take a little bit of time. I'm trying to think if I have enough material here. I don't think I have enough material to make those, so I need to go ahead and ask that person if they're all right with brown stock instead. In the meantime, I can start making some other product. And if anybody's in the chat, just let me know if you can hear me all right. If the mic is good or not. Okay. In that case, I will get to making some cool plant hangers. So cut some 1/2-inch square to 12-inch sections. So for those of you wearing headphones or people who are like quietly listening, turn it down because I don't want to fiddle with my microphone. I still don't know super well how it works, and it was kind of a struggle to get it connected at all. Anyway, so be advised, it's going to be loud for a brief period of time. Need my ruler. All right. Apologize to anybody who was caught unawares wearing headphones for that. So, the first thing I need to do is take one of those ends, taper. One of the pieces, I mean. Just making sure this still works. And secondary test out here. Cool. That is all. Okay. Go ahead and start on this flat taper. Okay. And so essentially what's going to happen with this is just going to be a purely decorative piece. The other piece that I cut, which is also a foot long, is going to make up the main body of the plant hanger itself. It's going to be wall mounted with 2 screw holes. So this is not the end that I want to weld onto the other piece. I want to take the other piece, put it like this, stick it in there, and then I want to weld this end together. So to do that, I'm going to switch it around and get some tongs that can actually hold this the right way. Let's see if these will do it. Oh. Man. All right, let's try this out. Okay, that works for the most part. Okay. Let's see. No, I probably got a better pair for this. Oh. I guess I left that pair at school. Unfortunate. Hopefully they're still there when I get back. But that'll be a question for tomorrow, not today. I guess these work. just for the tack weld, and then I can kind of bend them out of the way and use 1/2-inch square tongs just to grip one of the two pieces. That probably makes the most sense here. And this weld doesn't require flux because this is 2 pieces of mild steel, and it's not a super strenuous weld. Now, I'll do a whole video on forge welding and the different ways you can do it, because there is more than one way. One way results in stronger welds, and one of them is safer, just because it's easier to tell when it's ready and it's less close to burning. Is using no flux and waiting until the scale, which the flux prevents. Basically, scale is the black stuff that you see flying off the metal all the time. It's an iron oxide that's created at a certain temperature. And if it gets in your weld, it can prevent the weld from sticking together. So there are 2 ways to get flux to prevent oxygen from getting in there and then dissolve any that's already there. Or you can just get it so hot that that oxide melts back down. And that is very risky because it gets very close to the melting temperature, but if you're good enough at it, you won't burn it very often. So that's what I'm going to be attempting here. That's what we've been working on at my school for a while now. And it is quite difficult. Even my teacher, Matt, has burnt some things during demonstrations. And he's been blacksmithing for a very long time. He's very skilled. So, it's not if, it's a when. And if you can kind of prevent it from happening most of the time, then you're doing pretty good. Almost there. See, like here, I got this second piece a little too hot. That'll probably come back to bite me, but it is what it is. So that was the tack weld. That just sets it in place. Now what I have to do is actually make that a sound weld. So I'm going to stick it back in there, heat it back up, get it back up to the same approximate temperature, and hit it a bit harder. And that'll just ensure that it's solidly together. Because right now, I can probably pretty easily just pull this apart. It's not very solidly together. And that is not what you want, obviously, since we're trying to join these 2 pieces together. This process is a lot like cooking a steak because you want to get the interior hot as well as the exterior. The exterior is what's actually welding, but if the exterior is hot and the interior is cold, once you pull it out of the fire, the exterior is going to cool down and you probably won't get a very solid weld. So you got to kind of cook the steel, not just, fry it on the outside, leave the inside too cold. And cold is a relative term. I mean, we're talking 2,700 degrees here, so by most people's standards, that's still very hot. Okay, I'm confident in that weld now. So I can start, and this is the real test of a weld. If you take the weld and you hit it on its side and it doesn't break apart, that's how you tell a good weld from a bad one. So now what I need to do is some prettying up. And then I need to draw this out because this is going to actually be the part that holds the plant. And this inner part here is going to scroll. And then this outer edge is the one that's going to bend and have the bracket down here. Not quite. Okay. Another way to tell a really good weld is after forging, if it looks like one piece of metal, then it probably is. It's just another good way to tell when you've done a weld properly. I'll give this a good brush now, just so that it's more clearly visible what happened. All right. So, I'm not exactly sure if it's super visible on the camera, but there's a clear end to this split that's happening. And that is exactly what you want. A clear beginning point and a clear end point where it's one solid piece. I'm going to stick it back in the fire, clean it up some more. This end here is a little too burned. I'm going to cut it off. What happens when you burn steel is it actually falls apart like sand. Because the thing about steel is a lot of people don't realize it's actually composed of little grains. Kind of like, not wood is a bad comparison because the grains in wood are linear. whereas the grains in steel are much more like a basket of grain, tightly packed together and held together with glue. But what happens essentially when you get it too hot, and this is what happens when you burn the steel, is those grains expand, and then the structural integrity degrades. And so what you end up getting is a piece of steel as you work it that falls apart into many pieces. So that's the fine line that you're riding as you're welding using this method. Like I said, much more risky, but stronger welds in the end. It also doesn't require flux, which is another bonus. It's another thing you don't have to worry about. Okay. So I now need to start thinking about scrolling this secondary piece. To do that, I need to bend it out of the way. So I should probably get this section very hot so I can do that easily. Okay. And as you can see, this isn't falling apart, which is always encouraging. It's obviously what you want. You don't want your piece to fall apart when you try and spread it like this. And the whole purpose for this is just to get this piece here, this tapered piece, spread away from this so I can scroll it better. Like so. So now I need to think about what way, because I made a prototype of this. I need to remember which way I scrolled it. So this piece bends down. Yeah, so I'll be scrolling it downwards this way. And obviously this process is going to be a bit more drawn out than your usual scroll because I wanted a certain proportion with regards to the actual piece itself. And it's kind of hard to gauge that when you're scrolling just because it takes up a lot more material than you at first think it might. So you have to be very careful with how you do it. Come on. Okay. So in some respects, this is just like any other scroll, except that it is 90 degrees perpendicular of how you would start any other scroll, which makes it a little weird to manage. Just because you're having to think about everything in a different way than you would normally. Okay. You find in blacksmithing that the more complicated things you do, the weirder angles you have to put yourself in. Angles that you would never think you would want to put yourself in. But, I mean, hey, you make beautiful stuff nobody else can make. I'd say it's worth it. Where did I put my water? There it is. One thing about heating up a long piece of metal like this, when you go to whack it the first time, that big huge chunk of scale comes flying at you. Okay, so now I want to think about where I want to bend this second piece and how much more I want to scroll this. I think I want to bring the scroll down to about here. But it is going to be difficult to unbend. The thing about this is the more of these I make, the better I'll get at it. The first like 5 or 10 are going to just take a very long time. It's kind of like railroad spike knives. It used to take me a lot longer than it takes now to forge one, just because I know exactly the process to follow. It's like everything. You know, the more you practice it, the faster you get, the better you get. I think I'm going to bring that scroll down a bit more. All right. Oh, come on. Okay, should be hot enough now, hopefully. And I didn't even burn the tip. That's always the trouble, burning the thin inner part versus getting the thick part on the outside hot enough. A little bit more. That's about where I want it. Okay. I'm now going to heat this back up and give this a much more gradual curve. And then prepare this section here to get it looking the right way. Because right now, it doesn't look like really much of anything, but it will look that way the more I work on it. Go ahead and quench the scroll, just so I don't deform it at all. You wouldn't want that. And then I will knock this back down some. Okay. And then, so now that I've got it straight, I can kind of bring this into a gradual curve. Because what I didn't want was just the curve right here. I wanted a nice gradual curve. So I'll do that. And I'll probably, I don't know. This is pretty thick material. I don't think I just want to use the scrolling tongs, but there are special tongs that blacksmiths use for big scrolls like this to make them the right shape. I will definitely be utilizing them in the fine-tuning aspect, I suppose. There we go. Another thing to think about when you're forging is the cleanliness of your anvil. Because when you think about it, every time you put steel on the anvil and you hit it, you're imprinting whatever's on that anvil into the bottom surface of whatever you're working on. So you want to definitely clean off as much of that scale as you can every chance you get. Just because, you know, it's a good habit to get into. Makes the quality of your finished work much better. Go ahead and quench this just to more easily access this part. And that's kind of what I was looking for right there. A nice even curve the whole way down. Like that. That way, I don't know, I think that looks much nicer. It also leaves room for me to bend this down. And obviously it's not perfect. You can clearly see that, but it's easier to rectify that once I have this back part nailed down. So I'm gonna get the screw plate forged on the end here so I can drill it out and then go ahead and bend it. So there is a way to make a nice sharp square edge for decorative purposes, but I don't think I'm going to do that on these for the sake of time. I would like to have a nice balance between, you know, aesthetic detail to mass producibility, and I think that's where I'm going to have to cut off, just because. What's up, Taryn? How you been? So I'm making a decorative plant hanger. I forge welded some stuff together. I'll show you in a minute here once it's hot and ready. Is this mic okay? I mean, I tested it on my phone, but I can't really tell that well. Okay. So for the screw plate, all it really is just a section here. You take about 2 inches and just kind of flatten it. Make a step on the anvil and flatten it into a nice straight edge piece here, like so. And then I'll clean it up afterwards. It's not quite as thin as I'd like it yet, but it's nice to clean it up partway through. Just helps the overall process go a bit faster. And really, that's what a lot of blacksmithing is finding the most efficient way to do a given job. Efficiency. And thanks for letting me know, Tim. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'm just going to flatten this out here. Make it thin, but not so thin that it's not structurally stable. Okay. There we go. And then I'll work on bending this region over. Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, it's not hot yet. That is unfortunate. Okay. Hopefully it's hot now. Yep. Hot enough, that is. All right. So now what I'm going to do is just make a nice 90 over the edge of the anvil here. If I can not get it caught in my shirt, that would be cool. maybe over the horn, like that. And then just slowly bring it around. I can maybe use the horn a little bit, or the hardy hole. And then we'll see how that looks. No, I don't think that's... I want to bring this bend further back, maybe to about here. Yeah. So I'll heat up this section, straighten this out somewhat, and then move it down a little bit. It's not very hard to do, so... Okay. About like this. So I'm seeing now that it would have been easier to do the scroll later. So I'll remember that for my next try. Because right now, what I can't do is get over the edge like that, like I usually would. Instead, I'm relying off using the hardy hole this way, which is fine, but not the optimal scenario. Again, this is a bit further back than I wanted. I might bend this out of the way some more just so I can get access to that. I think that's what I'll have to do on this. And then in future productions of this, I'm not going to scroll this. I'm going to bend it all the way out of the way and scroll it later. All things you'll learn as you go. So I'm just waiting for the steel to heat up here. For anybody that is just here, that just dropped by, I'm making a plant hanger with a forge welded aspect. And this is still kind of in the experimental stage. You know, I don't super duper know what I'm doing, so I'm having to go back and undo some steps so I can get better access to the step that I want to complete now. Just so that way in the future, I know the better way to do it. Then I won't have to go back and undo steps, and it'll get faster and faster. And that's the case with all blacksmithing. The more you do it, faster it gets, the more you know what you're doing. It's just kind of like anything else, really. Let's get this out of the way. Yeah. Then we'll heat this up. Okay. So I'm now going to unbend this some, just because I want this bend further back here. I'll bend this out of the way too. And then I want the bend there. And now if I heat that section up only, I should be able to bend that very easily. But all this adjustment over the edges made this surface rough, so I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. Oh man. really. Okay, and then I just got to wait for that to heat up, which is going to take a while because of its shape. I can't stick it down into the fire pot, unfortunately. So, there we go. That might do a little better. Okay. Should be hot by now. Yep, and that's what I wanted. So I want a short heat right here on just this section so I can get at it more readily. I can bend it like that. And I said I wasn't going to do the thing where I make a super square edge, but I do want it more square than that. So I am going to do a little bit of that process here just to make sure it gets the proper shape that I want. I can do some more of this method just to make sure. I can pull this down. Like that. And that should give me not, an excellent super square looking edge, but much better. And then obviously I can correct it. I'll have to heat it up though for that. I can do that just with some tongs. Okay. Okay. So that's about where I want the bend itself. Obviously, I can use some cleanup. So I'm just going to do that. Okay. Okay. Now I can bend this scroll back down. So I'll heat that section up and I'll do that. Okay. Bring this back down. All right, and that's just about perfect. Exactly the shape I wanted. Oh, okay, I see. As I straightened it out, kind of pulled away. So now what I'm looking for, and you can see this is starting to look a lot more like a plant hanger. What I'm looking for is that this edge here of the scroll touches the back end. So what I need to do is come in here and unbend along this line. So I need to heat the whole thing up. And I'll be using scrolling tongs just because they're a bit more precise than my hammer is, especially for that interior curve like that. There's no way I could access that except by scrolling tongs. Okay. Well, that's going to take a very long time to heat up, just simply because of how I have it situated in the fire. My forge is pretty small, which means that it's going to take a long time to heat it up because I just have it. I can't get it in the bowl. Oh well, it'll heat up eventually, and I only need this one last heat for this part, so that should be all I need. Shouldn't have to fiddle around with this particular section anymore. Let's see if it's ready now. Maybe it would be easier just with the hammer. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I've got the body. All I need is the part that actually holds the plant. And what I'll be doing for that is this portion that we welded up here. I'm just going to bring that down and back up. And then basically the only mechanical step left is drilling out the holes in there and then finishing it. So I'll go ahead and get this functional portion done. And today I'm not going to be doing any finishing. I'm just doing the forging. So I'll probably start on another one of these once I finish this one. Maybe with less explaining, I'm not sure yet. I don't really, I've never streamed before, so I don't really know what is engaging, what's interesting for people to hear. So I'm kind of just narrating this as I would a tutorial, just because that's the only real experience I have with YouTube. So, if anybody wants to let me know what they think would be interesting as a stream, I am perfectly down to hear it and consider it for sure. Because, my channel, now, I'm not saying this in a, ungrateful way. 144 people is crazy. To me, that many people are interested in what I'm doing. But in the grand scheme of things, 144 subscribers is tiny. I mean, you look at somebody like, I'll just take a relevant example in this field, Alex Steele with his almost 2.5 million, maybe it even is even more now, but 2.5-ish million subscribers. That's a ton of people. He's got a ton of experience, and I'm just not that experienced. So suggestions are welcome, and I will definitely consider them. Okay. Awesome. So that looks pretty good. That's about the shape I'm looking for. I'll go ahead and cool it off just so I can show it closer to the camera. And then all that's left is to drill those holes. And finish it with some Johnstone wax. Okay. So there it is, finished as far as forging goes. The plant will hang here, and then the bracket will be mounted down here. I'm going to go ahead and drill those holes really quickly. It shouldn't take me too long. And I'll wax it. Oh, it's a little twisted here. The nice thing about decorative work like this, it's all mild steel, so you can adjust it cold like that without it breaking in half. So yeah. All right, I am going to put on the belt grinder for a very brief period. That'll be pretty loud. So if there's anybody watching, which I'm not sure there is, but if there is anyone, turn down your volume. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Okay. That's just to clean up that outermost edge. And then I'll drill the 2 holes. I need to center punch them so the bit doesn't wander. It likes to do that. Here's my center punch. And the nice thing about being a blacksmith is that aside from your first hammer and your first couple pairs of tongs, I mean, you can start blacksmithing without a pair of tongs. You can just that's your first project, is just making a pair. That's a bit of an ambitious project. Tongs are a little complicated for a first project. You can do it, but really aside from your first hammer, your anvil, and a couple other essential tools, you really don't have to buy all that many tools if you don't want to. You can make pretty much everything you use, which is really convenient. I mean, with woodworking, that's not the case. With a bunch of other trades, that isn't the case. Really, because for a long time, blacksmithing was the only trade that made tools. In fact, that was the whole trade, was making tools, making hardware. useful stuff like that. So it's kind of the only thing where you can start with a hammer and eventually work your way up to having, 20 pairs of tongs and 10 hammers and all kinds of punches and hand tools. Now, obviously, when you get into something like a power hammer, you're getting into, you can't forge a power hammer. It's a giant machine. It requires a bit more attention and resources than you have in a shop. But for the most part, all of these tools are as expensive as the metal used to purchase them is. So I'm going to go ahead and wax this now. I got the holes drilled in there. I got the end cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and heat this part up red hot just to get rid of that shine. I'm going for a forged finish on this one, just because I've found people like that finish a lot. Shining this whole thing up would be quite annoying. I would have to get out. Well, first of all, I would need air tools to get way inside of the scroll. I would ruin the hammer finish on it. But secondly, it would just be a pain. So leaving this finish on it is the way that I like to do things. Let's see if it's ready. Yes, okay. I'm going to cool it off again and heat it up again. Where's my blowtorch? There it is. And again, all this is a water-resistant coat that I'm putting on here. See if it's hot enough yet. Maybe. No, not quite. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this on a giant heat sink. Do it like this. All right, let's try that. Oh well, I'll do it later. You get the idea. Heat it up, put wax on it. Going to go ahead, cut some more, make another one. This time do it in the opposite order. Again, it's going to get very loud for a brief period, and then it will be back to normal. I will give you time to turn down your volume or take out your headphones or whatever. I'm going to make it very loud. Okay. So, once again, I'm going to start off the same way, just welding these ends together. And again, this is going to take the longest just because it's the first heat. First heat always takes the longest because it's got to come up from room temperature to around 3,000 degrees versus from 1,800 or 1,400 degrees to 3,000. Let's see if it's ready. Nope. Okay. Hopefully these are hot enough. Not quite. I'd like a good long weld. So we'll see how long this heat is. We may have to cool off the ends and put it back in for a little bit longer. Depending. This is good. That's what I like to see. Okay. So that's good for the tack weld. Put it back in. Get a nice structural weld going. Okay. Get this. It's twisting on me. Don't want that. And then I'll put it back in. Is it still you in chat, Terry? So you've been here a long time. Okay. Cool. I wanted to bring that weld back a little. All right. And once again, I'm going to taper this down. First, I'm going to give it a good brush. Always a good idea. Okay. So now that I've got it solidly welded, I'm going to start tapering it down. Doesn't seem to be as welded as I would like it to be, so I'm going to take another, they call it a wash heat. Basically, it's just to clean up the surface, make sure the surfaces are welded. So I'm going to get it hot again, go over very lightly with the hammer, seal everything up. Just to make sure. Almost there. There we go. Oh boy. So this is burned pretty badly. I may have to scrap it, but we'll see. Again, very, very easy to burn what you're making. I guess we will see if it is worth keeping once I work it down some more. Right now it's looking like it's holding together, but the more I hit it, the more it will become apparent if it's not structurally stable. Which, of course, you don't want. And I will have to scrap this, but that's okay. It happens. To the best blacksmiths, it happens. Probably more rarely than it happens to me, but it happens. Here's the big test here. Oh, yeah. That is what I was afraid was going to happen, but what I thought was going to happen. So, again, I don't really know how easy it is to tell on that camera. Guess I'll cool it off just to show. It's falling apart. Like I was saying earlier. I didn't even cut it there. So that's what happens when you burn the steel. You don't want that. I think that I'm going to move on to something a little smaller for the sake of variety. And I think I'll make a railroad spike bottle opener with a twisted handle. Because why not? All right. Okay, should be ready now. There we go. Okay. And I'm basically, what I'm making is not the style where you punch a hole, but it's got a bent over flap, like so. And then I'll just bend this flat back over. I think I need to thin that out a bunch though. So I'm gonna unbend it real quick. There we go. Now, I need to move my anvil back into proper view. About like that. Ah, man. Burnt that too. I've got material to spare on here, so I just draw it out a little further. Okay. 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 We can try this again. Maybe I'll bend over the lip first and then take the rest of it down. Using the same brushing strokes that you would with a scroll. Bend it over about like that, and then I'll quench it. I'm just using this as a little flat template just to clean up this edge. I've deformed it a bit by moving it around. There we go. Okay. I think once I'm done with this piece, I'm going to end the stream for the day. It's been fun. I think I'll continue it for sure. Haven't been a lot of people, but maybe now that I've announced that this is happening every Sunday at approximately 2:30, other people will show up. It'll be a good time. Feel free to drop in, even if it's just for a little bit. If you're watching this as a video, then thanks for watching. And now I'll give it a twist. After this, of course, I'll give it a twist, and that'll be that. Oh, I forgot. Gotta flatten out this railroad spike head first so I can twist it. What's up, Dad? How are you? I'm making a railroad spike bottle opener right now. Made a couple of hooks earlier. But I think after I'm done with this, I'm going to end the stream because I got a bunch of grinding to do. And that's, as you may imagine, not super duper interesting to watch. So to give this bottle opener a twist, I have to flatten out this head. I also made this railroad spike knife earlier. Okay. Okay. And then I'll just straighten it out as best I can. All right. There it is. All right. Well, for everyone who joined the stream, thank you for watching. If you're watching this as a video and you've watched this far, I really, really appreciate it. That's great. This is going to be somewhere in the range of 2 hours as a video, so that'd be really cool. If you did enjoy the stream, feel free to stop by again next week. Give me a a shout and chat, and I'll talk to you. And thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.